Be still for a moment. Not because you are waiting for something to happen, but because something is already listening. This is not a declaration you shout into the world. This is not desire trying to convince God. This is not effort. This is a prayer. And prayer, when spoken rightly, does not beg. It recognizes. You are not here to make wealth appear. You are here to remember that supply has never been absent, only unclaimed. There is a law older than fear, older than struggle, older than every story you were taught about money. And this law does not respond to worry. It responds to expectation. When the soul expects, the universe rearranges. So let your breath soften. Let the inner argument rest. For the moment you stop insisting, divine order steps forward. You do not need to convince life that you are worthy. Life already knows. The doors that open do not open by force. They open by alignment. And alignment begins when the heart says quietly, I accept what is already prepared for me. This prayer is not spoken to wealth. It is spoken from abundance. As these words move through you, something subtle begins to shift. Old resistance loosens. Old fear loses authority. The mind stops interrupting the flow. And in that stillness, supply finds you. Because what is divinely yours does not need chasing. It arrives when you are ready to receive. Infinite intelligence, divine source, the one presence that goes before me and makes the crooked places straight. I enter now into conscious communion with you. I release the habit of striving. I release the old belief that supply must be chased, earned through exhaustion, or proven through suffering. I rest my case. For you are not a distant power that must be persuaded. You are the very substance of supply itself, moving through form, order, timing, and opportunity. I acknowledge now that there is a perfect plan already established for my financial good. It exists independent of conditions, independent of markets, independent of human opinion. It is intact. It is whole. It cannot be delayed. I accept this as law. I give thanks that the reservoir of abundance is infinite and impartial. It withholds nothing. It responds only to recognition. And so I recognize that money is not my source. Employment is not my source. People are not my source. Circumstances are not my source. You are my source. And my source is unfailing. I speak now to every false agreement I have ever made with lack. I dissolve the belief that I must struggle to be safe. I dissolve the fear that says there is not enough time, not enough opportunity, not enough favor. That belief has no authority here. I have learned that what I hold in consciousness must appear in experience. Therefore, I choose now to hold the image of divine supply, moving freely toward me, without obstruction, without conflict, without delay. I do not picture how. I do not outline the channels. I do not interfere with divine order. I simply accept the end. I accept abundance as natural. I accept financial ease as normal. I accept provision as inevitable. I understand now that the moment I stop arguing with good, good rushes in. So I quiet the mind. I soften the breath. I step aside. Let every anxious calculation fall away. Let every memory of disappointment lose its power. Let every inner voice that learned fear from the past be gently dismissed. It does not speak truth anymore. I give thanks that divine ideas are now taking form in my life. Ideas that lead to right action, right association, and right opportunity. Ideas that feel calm, not frantic. Clear, not forced. Natural, not desperate. I trust these ideas. I follow them without strain. I know that no good can pass me by. That which belongs to me by divine right moves toward me with certainty. I do not compete. I do not compare. I do not hurry. What is mine recognizes me. I affirm that the substance of abundance is already active in my affairs. It is rearranging details I cannot yet see. It is opening doors I have not yet noticed. It is preparing conversations, timing, and outcomes in perfect order. And I do nothing but receive. I receive with gratitude. I receive with humility. I receive with expectation, for expectation is faith made visible. I thank you that every obligation is met with ease, that every bill dissolves into provision, that every need is answered before it becomes a burden. I no longer carry financial pressure in my body. I release it from the breath. I release it from the chest. I release it from the mind. I choose peace as my financial atmosphere, and peace multiplies. I recognize that wealth is not hoarded energy, it is circulating life. As I allow it to move toward me, I allow it to move through me in wise, generous, and orderly ways. I become a clear channel. Nothing blocks me now. No past mistake, no missed opportunity, no delayed result. The law knows only now, and now I am aligned. I seal this prayer not with force, but with quiet certainty. Not with pleading, but with recognition. Not with effort, but with trust. I let go, and I let God. And so it is. I now turn inward with compassion and truth. I acknowledge that much of what I once believed about money was never mine to begin with. It was inherited fear, borrowed limitation, unquestioned repetition. I gently release every memory where lack taught me to brace myself. Every moment where uncertainty trained my nervous system to expect disappointment. Every time I learned to tighten instead of trust. These memories dissolve now, not by force, but by understanding. I see clearly that fear was never a warning. It was a misunderstanding. There is no punishment in supply. There is no lesson in struggle. There is no virtue in scarcity. I forgive myself for believing otherwise. I forgive every authority, every voice, every circumstance that impressed fear upon my subconscious. They acted from what they knew. And now, I know better. I choose again. I choose to feel safe receiving. I choose to feel calm when money approaches. I choose to feel grounded when abundance expands. There is no shock in good. There is no guilt in overflow. I breathe deeply and allow the body to learn a new language. The language of sufficiency. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw release. Let the stomach unclench. I no longer expect loss after gain. I no longer wait for the other shoe to drop. I no longer rehearse failure to protect myself. Protection is not found in worry. Protection is found in alignment. I understand now that fear interrupts flow, and so I remove fear from my agreements. I withdraw my consent from every inner vow that said, I must struggle. I must sacrifice. I must prove. I must survive. These vows are canceled. In their place, I establish a new agreement. I live under divine order. I am sustained by divine intelligence. I am supported beyond my own effort. I give thanks that the subconscious accepts this truth without resistance, that it reorganizes itself around ease, that it learns safety and expansion. I do not need to control outcomes to be secure. I do not need to micromanage the future to be safe. The future is not hostile. It is responsive. I release the habit of scanning for what might go wrong. I train my awareness instead to notice what is already working. Gratitude recalibrates my inner world. I give thanks for visible provision. I give thanks for unseen preparation. I give thanks for protection I never noticed and redirection I once misunderstood. Nothing has been wasted. Even delays served alignment. Even closed doors preserved dignity. Even detours protected timing. I trust the intelligence that governs my life far more than my own analysis. I allow wealth to arrive in ways that feel respectful, stable, and clean. I release the idea that money must come with stress attached. I no longer associate abundance with pressure. My nervous system learns ease. I affirm now that I am emotionally safe with money. I am mentally clear with money. I am spiritually aligned with money. Money recognizes clarity. I become comfortable holding more without tension. I become grounded as capacity expands. I remain centered as responsibility increases. I do not disappear when good grows. I stay present. I stay peaceful. I allow myself to enjoy provision without bracing for loss. Joy is permitted. I accept that divine supply arrives in proportion to readiness, not worthiness. And I am ready now. Ready to receive without fear. Ready to steward without anxiety. Ready to allow expansion without self-sabotage. I thank the subconscious mind for releasing old defense mechanisms, for standing down from hypervigilance, for trusting the new pattern. This pattern is peaceful. This pattern is sustainable. This pattern is true. I no longer look backward for evidence. I look inward for alignment. And alignment is present. I rest in this knowing. I settle into this peace. I allow the body, the mind, and the spirit to agree. Where there was tension, there is now trust. Where there was contraction, there is now flow. I accept this shift completely. And so it continues. I now step fully into the awareness that abundance is not something I visit. It is a state I inhabit. I release the idea that wealth is an event in the future. It is a condition of consciousness in the present. As I breathe, I allow this truth to settle into my identity, not as affirmation repeated from the mind, but as recognition felt in the body. I am not becoming abundant. I am remembering what has always been true. I allow my posture to change, not physically, but internally. There is no shrinking here, no apologizing for capacity, no dimming to remain acceptable. I stand quietly in sufficiency. I understand now that wealth responds to inner authority, not control, not force. Authority. Authority comes from knowing who I am aligned with. I do not rush decisions born of fear. I do not cling to situations that no longer serve order. I move with clarity, not urgency. I give myself permission to choose what supports ease, to say no without guilt, to say yes without over-explaining. My choices reflect trust. I notice how abundance expresses itself naturally through me, as discernment, as timing, as confidence without arrogance. I am not here to impress life. I am here to cooperate with it. I trust that the right opportunities recognize my readiness. They approach me without pressure. They feel calm, clean, and appropriate. I do not override intuition in the name of speed. I allow wisdom to set the pace. There is no lack in waiting when waiting is guided. I affirm now that my environment responds to my inner state. As I carry order, order meets me. As I hold calm, calm organizes my affairs. I move through financial spaces with composure. I make decisions without panic. I evaluate without self-doubt. Clarity is my currency. I accept that my value is not negotiable. It is inherent. I no longer tie self-worth to income, nor diminish income to preserve humility. Both worth and wealth coexist without conflict. I hold more and remain grounded. I grow and remain gracious. I thank the intelligence within me for guiding every interaction, every conversation, every agreement. I trust myself to recognize what is aligned. I understand now that wealth does not require me to abandon my nature. It amplifies what is already true. I remain ethical as abundance grows. I remain kind as capacity expands. I remain present as responsibility increases. Nothing essential is lost. I accept that being well provided for allows me to be more generous with time, energy, and attention. This is not selfishness. It is circulation. I release the idea that struggle builds character. Character is revealed in ease. I allow abundance to normalize. I no longer react emotionally to numbers. They are information, not identity. They guide decisions, not self-perception. I remain steady. I feel now the quiet confidence of someone who trusts the process. There is no proving. There is no performance. Only participation. I accept that my life is arranged for support, that unseen systems cooperate on my behalf, that outcomes align without coercion. I do not rush what is unfolding correctly. I allow momentum to build naturally. I am patient without doubt. I am active without strain. I am open without vulnerability. This balance stabilizes my experience of wealth. I speak now from embodiment, not aspiration. I am supported. I am supplied. I am sustained. These are not hopes. They are acknowledgments. I thank this truth for expressing itself tangibly and consistently, for meeting needs before they become emergencies, for exceeding expectations without drama. I allow abundance to feel ordinary, peaceful, reliable, present. I settle into this state. I live from here now. I now open myself to divine orchestration, the unseen intelligence that arranges details beyond my planning. I acknowledge that timing is not random. Connections are not accidental. Opportunities do not wander aimlessly. Everything arrives by appointment. I release the urge to force outcomes. I surrender the habit of pushing doors that are not aligned. I trust that what opens easily is supported by law. I recognize now that my role is not to chase provision, but to remain available to it. Availability is an inner posture. So I become receptive. I become attentive. I become still enough to notice what is already moving toward me. I thank the intelligence that governs my life for aligning me with the right people, those who see clearly, act fairly, and operate with integrity. Those who recognize mutual benefit. Those whose success does not require my diminishment. I am matched appropriately. I trust conversations to unfold with clarity. I trust negotiations to resolve with balance. I trust decisions to land with certainty. There is no confusion in divine order. I release the belief that opportunity must be stressful to be legitimate. I no longer equate pressure with progress. Progress feels grounded. It feels orderly. It feels calm. I affirm now that the path before me is made visible one step at a time. I do not demand the entire map. I honor the guidance that arrives precisely when needed. I move when prompted. I pause when instructed. I rest when alignment deepens. This rhythm protects me. I acknowledge that unseen assistance is already active. Details are being coordinated. Timing is being refined. Circumstances are rearranging themselves in my favor. I do not interfere. I allow outcomes to mature fully before arrival. I give thanks that the right openings recognize my readiness and respond accordingly. They do not test me. They do not confuse me. They do not drain me. They support me. I affirm that my work, my presence, my contributions are valued appropriately. Compensation aligns with clarity. Exchange remains fair. I do not underprice my energy. I do not overextend my capacity. I operate within wisdom. I trust myself to recognize alignment when it appears. It feels clean. It feels respectful. It feels sustainable. I choose what allows longevity. I release urgency. Urgency clouds discernment. I replace it with certainty. I understand now that when I am aligned internally, the external must respond. I thank every redirection that preserved my dignity, every delay that protected my timing, every closed door that prevented misalignment. Nothing was lost. I welcome what arrives now, with ease. I allow provision to meet me in expected and unexpected forms, through ideas, through invitations, through conversations that open pathways I could not have planned. I remain flexible without being ungrounded. I adapt without compromising truth. I trust intelligence to outpace effort. I affirm that the resources required for each next step arrive concurrently with the step itself. No sooner, no later. I am never ahead of supply. I am never behind it. I walk in sync. I give thanks that my environment reflects this order, that systems cooperate, that timing aligns, that outcomes resolve cleanly. I allow success to feel deserved without justification. I allow progress to continue without interruption. I am supported now, not eventually. I rest in this orchestration. I let it carry me forward. I now rest in completion. Not an ending, but a ceiling. I acknowledge that what has been spoken is already accepted, not because of repetition, but because of alignment. I do not revisit this prayer with doubt. I do not reopen it with questioning. I trust its fulfillment as law. I understand now that faith is not intensity. It is calm expectancy. So I remain calm. I do not watch the clock. I do not measure progress with impatience. I allow the unseen to complete its work without interference. I give thanks in advance not as superstition, but as recognition. Gratitude confirms receipt before form appears. I thank divine intelligence for supply that is already arranged, for outcomes already organized, for provision already moving. I release the need for signs. I release the need for reassurance. The inner knowing is sufficient. I live from certainty now. I allow abundance to express itself in consistent, practical, peaceful ways. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but steady, reliable, sustaining. I welcome financial ease into daily life, into routines, into ordinary moments. This is where wealth becomes real. I remain attentive to guidance without obsession. I act when moved. I pause when directed. I trust the intelligence that knows more than I do. I understand now that receiving is not passive, it is cooperative. I stay open. I stay clear. I stay aligned. I release any final residue of fear, any lingering belief that good must be defended against loss. Good is self-sustaining. I accept that my life is now under grace, not strain. Under order, not pressure. Under provision, not anxiety. I choose to notice evidence of alignment as it appears. Small confirmations, quiet shifts, unexpected ease. I allow these without analysis. I do not rush to explain miracles. I let them stand. I affirm now that abundance remains with me because I remain with peace. I do not abandon calm when results appear. I do not revert to old patterns when capacity increases. I stay rooted. I thank myself for choosing trust over tension, for choosing recognition over striving, for choosing alignment over force. This choice sustains everything. I release this prayer fully. I do not hold on to it. I let it go into law. I carry on with my life, present, attentive, receptive. And as I do, supply continues to reveal itself naturally. I am at ease. I am provided for. I am aligned. And so it is.
There is a law, immutable and sure, that what you speak with conviction shapes the world you walk in. Words are not idle puffs of air. They are living seeds, carrying within them the exact form of the harvest they will bring forth. To the unawakened, speech seems harmless, casual, inconsequential. But to the one who knows, the tongue is a wand, and every syllable is a decree. The unseen is quick to obey a spoken word wrapped in faith. And so, the one who understands speaks not from fear, not from lack, but from the certainty that all good is already theirs. When I say, I spoke it, I speak of the instant when thought crystallized into declaration. No longer did I whisper requests like a beggar at a gate. I pronounced truth as a ruler pronounces law. The moment I gave voice to wealth, I felt the current shift. It was not arrogance, it was alignment. I did not plead for riches to come from somewhere far away. I recognized that abundance was already mine in the invisible, awaiting only my consent to manifest. Life, you see, is a grand and perfect game, not of chance but of law. There are no accidents, no flukes, only the precise return of the energy and words we send forth. Many play this game blindfolded, tossing out words of poverty, lack, and limitation, and then marveling at how faithfully these barren crops come up in their fields. But the awakened player knows the rules. The rule is simple. Speak what you desire as though is already so, and it shall be. When I began to speak wealth, not as a distant hope, but as my present and eternal possession, the whole game shifted. The air around me seemed charged with new currents. Opportunities I once overlooked became radiant pathways. People appeared with keys I didn't know I needed. The very atmosphere rearranged itself to honor my declaration. I learned that to speak in faith is to set the game board in motion in your favor. To speak doubt is to give your opponent, the shadow of fear, the upper hand. Every time my tongue shaped the words, I am wealthy, I was not lying. I was not boasting. I was telling the highest truth. For wealth is not merely coins and contracts, it is the flow of every good thing: ideas, health, peace, joy, and yes, money. The moment you speak wealth with conviction, the universe begins to deal you the cards that match your declaration. Speak it faintly, and you receive faint returns. Speak it with the fire of knowing, and wealth comes rushing as though it had been standing just outside your door, waiting for your command to enter. This is the wealth game: to speak, in the language of certainty, the life you desire, until the unseen rushes forward, dressed in the form of your words, and you find yourself living in the very sentence you once dared to utter. Words are seeds that shape reality, and the truth of this statement is woven into the very fabric of existence. Every sound you release carries vibration, and every vibration calls forth a corresponding form in the invisible realm. Just as a seed contains within it the entire blueprint of the tree, the fruit and the harvest it will one day bear, so too does every word you utter carry the pattern of its own manifestation. This is not merely a poetic metaphor, it is a law as dependable as gravity, operating whether you believe in it or not. When you understand this, you begin to weigh your words like gold, for you know that careless speech can plant weeds in the garden of your life, just as intentional speech can plant orchards of plenty. In the unseen world, thought is the first impulse, but speech is the moment of planting. A thought may flit through your mind and dissolve, but when you give it voice, you set it firmly into the soil of the universe. Every declaration becomes a living entity, drawing to itself the conditions, circumstances, and people that will bring it into visible form. A single word can open a door or close it. It can set the wind at your back or summon storms in your path. This is why some seem to walk under a constant raincloud of trouble. Without realizing it, they have been sowing seeds of complaint, doubt, and fear with every conversation they have. You cannot plant thorns and expect roses. If you continually speak of your lack, your failures, your limitations, you are planting the very conditions you wish to escape. The soil of life is utterly impartial. It will give you back in multiplied form whatever you put into it. It does not stop to judge whether the seed is useful or harmful, beautiful or ugly. If you plant it, it grows. This is why the wise person guards their words with vigilance, for they know that each one carries the full potential of its harvest. The shaping power of words is not a matter of superstition, but of vibration and resonance. When you speak, you emit a frequency, and that frequency draws like unto like. Speak wealth, and you call to yourself the energies, ideas, and opportunities that match wealth. Speak health, and vitality begins to answer. Speak love, and loving relationships begin to appear. but speak loss, and loss will find you. Speak sickness, and your body will answer with weakness. You are not merely describing life with your words, you are directing it. Consider the way a farmer works. They do not throw seeds into the earth without knowing what they will produce. They choose with care, knowing that the earth will not alter their choice, it will only give back what was sown. In the same way, your conversations, your affirmations, even the words you mutter under your breath when no one is listening, are all part of your planting. Many imagine that only their big declarations matter, but the truth is that every word counts. The casual joke about being broke, the repeated mention of bad luck, the half-serious complaint about never having enough time. All of these are seeds, and all of them will grow if you continue to water them with repetition. Watering, in this sense, is simply giving attention and energy to the words you've spoken. A seed planted but never watered will not thrive. Similarly, a word spoken once may not have much force if it is quickly replaced by higher truths. But a word repeated often, with emotion and conviction, sinks deep into the soil of the subconscious and the universal mind, and there it takes root. Once rooted, it will grow into the exact form of its seed. Whether that seed was of joy or sorrow, abundance or scarcity, your reality today is the harvest of seeds sown in the past, both by you and by others whose words you accepted as true. If, as a child, you heard repeated statements about money being scarce, success being difficult, or life being a struggle, those seeds were planted in your consciousness. If you did not remove or replace them, they may still be producing thorns in your life today. But here lies the great power of understanding. You can choose new seeds at any moment. You can speak new words, and those words will begin to grow into a new reality. When you realize that every sentence you utter is either a seed for a future you desire or a weed for a future you dread, you begin to speak with a new kind of awareness. You listen to yourself and others, not only for meaning but for the seeds being sown. You notice when someone says, "I can't afford that," or "nothing ever works out for me," and you understand that they are planting future experiences to match those exact words. You may even feel the urge to gently redirect them, or yourself, toward statements that plant better seeds. The reason words are so powerful is that they work on two levels at once. They program your own mind, and they send a signal to the world beyond you. When you speak a word, your subconscious accepts it as a command and begins to seek ways to make it true. At the same time, the energy of that word moves outward into the universal field, calling forth conditions and events to match its vibration. This is why a person who constantly talks about misfortune often experiences more of it. They have trained both their inner and outer worlds to align with that pattern. The shaping power of words does not require dramatic declarations or forceful speech. Whispered words carry the same creative charge as shouted ones, provided they are spoken with belief. Even a thought, when repeated silently but consistently, can have the same effect, for thought is simply unspoken speech. Yet spoken words hold a special potency because they involve the physical body, the breath, and the vibration of sound, making them a more tangible and direct act of creation. If you were to treat your words as a gardener treats precious seeds, you would speak only what you are willing to see grow in your life. You would stop rehearsing old injuries, stop complaining about present circumstances, and stop speaking about things you do not wish to experience again. You would, instead, speak health over your body, prosperity over your affairs, peace over your home, and success over your endeavors. You would see your words not merely as expressions of what is, but as instruments for shaping what will be. The shaping happens whether you notice it or not, which is why unconscious speech is the greatest thief of destiny. To speak without awareness is to throw seeds into the wind, letting them land where they may, and then wondering why the garden grows wild with things you never intended. But when you speak with intention, you become the master gardener, planting rows of good seed and knowing that, in time, the harvest will come exactly as you have sown. Speak desires as present truths, for in doing so you align yourself with the law of creation as it was meant to work. The unseen realm does not respond to longing, nor does it respond to the wistful tone of someone who wishes they might one day receive what they want. It responds to certainty, to the vibration of a mind and heart that knows the thing is already theirs. When you speak a desire as though it is in the distant future, you are continually pushing it away from you. When you speak it as now, as here, as already manifest, you draw it into your lived experience with a force as natural as breathing. The present tense is the language of creation, for creation is always happening in the now. Those who understand this do not speak of what they want as if they are chasing it down the road. They speak as though they are living it already, because in truth, they are. In the unseen, every good thing already exists in complete form. It is your recognition and acceptance of it that causes it to take shape in your visible life. To say, I will be wealthy, is to declare that you are not wealthy now. To say, I am wealthy, is to step into the identity of one who has already received. The difference may seem subtle, but it is the difference between a closed door and an open one. The universe mirrors your state of being, and your words are the clearest indicators of what that state truly is. When you speak desires as present truths, you bypass the vibration of lack. Lack says, I wish I had this, and the law responds faithfully, giving you more wishing, more absence, more of the gap between you and the thing you want. Truth says, it is already mine, and the law responds with matching evidence. This is not a trick of pretending or a mental game of make-believe. It is a recognition that the spiritual supply precedes the physical supply, and to speak it now is to claim it from the storehouse where it has been waiting for you. There is a vast difference between hoping and knowing. Hope looks ahead and wonders if. Knowing stands in the now and says, it is. Hope has an energy of reaching, knowing has an energy of resting. When you speak in the language of knowing, you release the tension that pushes the desire away. You no longer strain for it, you allow it. And it is in that allowing that the flow quickens, for nothing is blocking it with doubt or delay. The words you use to describe your desires are the most reliable measure of whether you are living in hope or in knowing. Listen closely to yourself. Do you say, one day I will have my dream home? That is a seed of postponement. Do you say, I am living in my dream home? That is a seed of manifestation. Even if you are physically standing in a different house, you are spiritually claiming your place in the one that is yours, and that claim is what makes it possible for the two to become one. The mind will sometimes rebel against this practice, for it has been trained to equate the visible with the real. It will argue, how can I say I am wealthy when my bank account says otherwise? But here is the key: the visible is the shadow, not the source. Your words are not describing the shadow, they are shaping the source. When you speak from the source, the shadow must change to match it. If you wait for the shadow to change before you speak the truth, you will wait forever. The law works in the order of cause and effect, and your words are part of the cause. This is why affirmations, when used with true belief, are powerful tools. But they must be more than mechanical repetitions. To say, I am wealthy, while inwardly scoffing or contradicting yourself will yield little. For the words must be saturated with the feeling of truth. The feeling is the water to the seed; without it, the seed lies dormant. When you speak your desire as a present truth, and feel the reality of it in your body and mind, you send a complete instruction to the universe, and the universe responds in kind. The practice of speaking desires as present truths also reshapes your identity. You begin to think, act, and make choices as the person who already has what you desire. A person who is wealthy does not dwell on scarcity or fear of loss. They move through life with ease and generosity. A person who is loved deeply does not act from desperation or fear of abandonment. They act from confidence and joy. By speaking as if it is already so, you naturally align your behavior with that reality. And this alignment is what makes the bridge between the unseen and the seen. You will notice that as you speak in the present tense, Certain old patterns of speech will no longer feel right. Words that once seemed harmless, such as, "I can't afford that," or, "I hope I get lucky," will sound discordant because they belong to an identity you no longer wish to inhabit. You will choose instead words like, "I choose," "I have," and "I am," for these declare ownership, agency, and present reality. This shift in language is not forced. It is the natural outgrowth of your decision to live in the truth of your desires now. Even the simplest desires take on new energy when spoken as present truths. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthy," you say, "I am healthy in every cell of my body." Instead of, "I wish I could travel," you say, "I am exploring beautiful places with joy." Each present, tense statement sends a signal of completion, not incompletion. And the law of life mirrors completion with completion. This is why people who live as if they already have tend to receive more. They are not vibrating in the gap between desire and fulfillment. They are vibrating in fulfillment itself. This practice also transforms how you respond to temporary appearances. If you are living in the present truth of abundance, a temporary dip in income does not rattle you. You continue to speak the truth. "I am richly supplied." If you are living in the present truth of health, a passing symptom does not make you claim illness. You speak the truth. "I am vibrant and whole." The outer must eventually match the inner declaration, for it cannot resist the steady pressure of a spoken truth held in faith. Speaking desires as present truths is not about deceiving yourself. It is about refusing to be deceived by appearances. It is about acknowledging that the deeper reality is always forming in the unseen before it takes visible shape, and that your words are the command to bring it forth. It is about realizing that the only true moment is now, and therefore all creation happens now, not someday. When you speak in the now, you claim the power of the now, and that power shapes all that follows. The wealth game follows immutable law. A law as fixed and precise as the turning of the seasons or the rising of the tide. It does not shift to suit emotions, opinions, or exceptions. It is not swayed by pleading, nor does it bend for favoritism. It works in exact correspondence to the energy and intention you put forth. And once you understand this, the mystery of why some prosper while others struggle begins to dissolve. The wealth game is not a gamble. It is a lawful exchange between the inner state and the outer result, between what you believe, speak, and expect, and what you experience in the visible world. Those who win at this game are not necessarily the most talented or the most connected, but they are the ones who have learned to work with the law rather than against it. This law has been operating since before you drew your first breath, and it will continue long after you have left this particular life. It governs every transaction, every opportunity, every flow of resources. To ignore it is to live at the mercy of circumstances. To align with it is to step into a position of mastery. The alignment begins with knowing that wealth, true wealth, originates within. Outer money, possessions, and opportunities are simply the shadows cast by your inner state. The law mirrors what you hold as reality, not what you wish were reality. If you play the game with a mindset of lack, the law will return lack to you, no matter how hard you work or how much effort you exert. If you play it with the consciousness of abundance, the law will return abundance, often with an ease that defies logic. In this game, there is no room for randomness. Every result has a cause, and the cause always begins in the invisible realm. Your beliefs, words, and emotional states are the opening moves. They set the pieces in motion long before you see anything take shape. Just as gravity does not suspend itself because you forgot it was there, the law of wealth does not pause simply because you are unaware of how it works. It keeps responding to the instructions you give it. And those instructions are given in the form of your dominant thoughts, the tone of your speech, and the images you hold in mind. The immutable nature of the law is both the greatest comfort and the sternest challenge. It means you cannot be left out of abundance by accident, nor can anyone else block it from you if you are aligned with it. But it also means you cannot bypass the work of changing your inner state. The law will not grant wealth to a mind steeped in poverty thinking, no matter how noble the cause or how earnest the desire. It only gives you what you have claimed within yourself as already yours. This is why the game is won in the mind long before it is won in the bank account. To play this game well, you must release the illusion that wealth is a matter of luck or timing. Luck is simply another name for alignment with the law, and timing is the unfolding of results that match your inner state. You can accelerate or delay that timing based on the consistency of your alignment. A mind that shifts between abundance and lack, that speaks prosperity one day and limitation the next, sends conflicting instructions. And the law simply returns that confusion in the form of mixed results. A mind that holds steady in abundance, regardless of outer appearances, sends a clear and unwavering signal, and the law delivers with precision. The law does not concern itself with the form wealth takes. It concerns itself with the vibration behind it. You may expect money to come through one channel, but if that channel is blocked, the law will open another. If you have truly aligned with abundance, the specific route does not matter, for the flow will find you. This is why those who understand the game do not limit themselves to thinking wealth can only arrive in the form of a paycheck, a client, or a single investment. They remain open to infinite possibilities, knowing the law can arrange circumstances in ways the rational mind cannot foresee. One of the most misunderstood aspects of this law is that it does not require struggle to deliver results. Struggle is often a sign of playing against the law, of trying to force outcomes through sheer effort while carrying beliefs that contradict the desired result. Effort aligned with the law feels purposeful and energizing, not exhausting and futile. When you work in harmony with it, there is a sense of being carried along, as though the current is helping you instead of resisting you. This does not mean that challenges will never arise, but it does mean that solutions and opportunities will present themselves naturally, without the sense of grinding against an unyielding wall. The wealth game also requires the understanding that giving and receiving are inseparable. The law is based on circulation. Just as water stagnates when it does not flow, so too does wealth. If you hoard from fear, you signal lack to the law, and the flow constricts. If you give freely from a place of abundance, you signal trust in the endless supply, and the law returns that trust with increase. Giving does not always mean handing over money. It can be time, skill, encouragement, or resources, but it must carry the vibration of generosity, not sacrifice. The law responds not to the size of the gift, but to the spirit in which it is given. Another key point in playing the wealth game by its immutable law is that gratitude amplifies the flow. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotion, it is a declaration that you already have, and the law responds to that declaration by sending more to match it. Complaining, on the other hand, is a declaration of lack, and the law matches that just as faithfully. This is why two people can be in identical financial situations, with one moving steadily into more abundance while the other sinks deeper into struggle. The difference lies not in the external conditions, but in how each is speaking to and interacting with the law. Because the law is unchanging, it becomes your most reliable ally once you align with it. You no longer need to guess at outcomes or live in fear of sudden reversals. For you know that as long as your inner state remains in harmony with abundance, the outer will inevitably reflect it. This stability allows you to act from confidence rather than desperation, to make decisions based on vision rather than fear. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles, because your inner alignment causes you to interpret events differently. In the wealth game, the immutable law is not something to manipulate or outwit, it is something to understand and cooperate with. You win not by overpowering it, but by working with it, just as a sailor works with the wind instead of fighting it. You study its patterns, you adjust your sails to match its direction, and you allow it to carry you toward your destination. When you understand this, the sense of life being a random struggle begins to fade, replaced by the awareness that you are engaged in a precise and elegant system where your role is to set the inner tone and let the law do its perfect work. Faith-filled speech activates abundance because it carries the force of certainty, the energy that moves unseen substance into visible form. Words alone, without belief, are like seeds scattered on stone. They do not take root. But words infused with faith carry the full blueprint of the desired reality, and they find their place in the fertile soil of the universal mind. Faith is not a vague hope or a timid wish. It is the knowing that what you declare is already true in essence, even if your physical eyes have yet to see it. When such knowing fills your words, they become commands rather than requests, and the universe responds with precision to fulfill them. This is why two people can speak the same affirmation with very different results. One repeats the words mechanically, unsure if they will work, secretly bracing for disappointment. The other speaks them as a living truth, with the same calm assurance they would have in describing the sun rising tomorrow. The difference is not in the arrangement of syllables, but in the vibration carried within them. The law of life answers the vibration, not the sound. When your speech carries faith, it carries a frequency that draws matching circumstances into your experience. Faith-filled speech also bypasses the inner resistance that often blocks manifestation. Doubt sends a mixed signal. One moment it asks for abundance, and the next it questions whether abundance is possible. This inconsistency confuses the creative process, producing delayed or partial results. Faith, however, holds steady. It does not waver based on temporary appearances. When you speak from faith, you do so with the quiet conviction that the outer world is in the process of rearranging itself to match your words, and you are unmoved by the time it takes for that rearrangement to become visible. There is a direct link between what you believe about your power to create and the words you choose to speak. If you believe you are at the mercy of chance or luck, your speech will carry uncertainty, even if you try to hide it behind positive phrases. But if you believe you are an active participant in shaping your reality through the law of cause and effect, your words will naturally carry the tone of authority. That authority is what makes faith-filled speech so potent. It does not beg, it declares. It does not plead for conditions to change. It announces the change as already present in the unseen. Faith-filled speech also activates abundance because it shifts your state of being instantly. When you speak with conviction, you step into the mental and emotional posture of someone who already has what they desire. You cannot say with true faith, "I am richly supplied," without feeling the corresponding expansion in your body and mind. This shift in state is crucial, for abundance flows to a consciousness that matches its vibration. By speaking in faith, you match that vibration now, rather than postponing it until after the evidence appears. This practice becomes most powerful when circumstances seem to contradict your words. It is easy to speak abundance when the bank account is full and opportunities are flowing. But when the outer world shows lack, the temptation is to speak lack as well. The one who understands the creative process resists this temptation and continues to speak abundance with unwavering faith. In doing so, they refuse to be hypnotized by appearances, and instead give their allegiance to the reality they are creating. The law responds to the reality you give energy to, not the one you passively observe. Faith-filled speech requires imagination, for you must speak of what you do not yet see as if it were already here. This is not self-deception but self-direction. You are instructing your subconscious mind and the universal law to bring forth what you have pictured. Imagination feeds the feeling behind the words, and the feeling gives them life. Without feeling, words are like hollow shells. With feeling, they become living seeds. Faith naturally generates feeling because it is rooted in the certainty that your declaration is aligned with truth. When you speak in faith, you also reprogram the patterns of your own mind. Old habits of thought, those that insist on caution, doubt, or fear, begin to dissolve in the presence of steady, confident declarations. The more you hear yourself affirm abundance with conviction, the more your subconscious accepts it as fact. This inner acceptance is the turning point, for once your subconscious is convinced, it begins to operate in harmony with your spoken word, guiding your actions, decisions, and perceptions toward the fulfillment of your declaration. Faith-filled speech changes the way you interact with opportunities. A person who doubts their worthiness or doubts the availability of abundance might fail to recognize or act on openings when they appear. But one who has been speaking abundance in faith is primed to see every sign of it, to act boldly, and to step into the flow without hesitation. The words you have spoken have not only called abundance to you, they have prepared you to receive it. It is important to understand that faith-filled speech is not about forcing belief through sheer willpower. It is about cultivating a sense of inner certainty through repeated alignment with the truth you are declaring. At first, the words may feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable if they contradict long-held beliefs. But as you persist, pairing them with the mental image and feeling of fulfillment, they begin to feel natural. Soon, they are not something you must remind yourself to say. They rise from within you as the most natural expression of your state of being. The act of speaking in faith also engages the body, which adds another layer of power to the process. The tone of your voice, the rhythm of your breath, the way your chest opens as you declare your truth. All of these send signals to your nervous system that you are in a state of safety and power. This physical alignment with your words further reinforces the vibration of abundance, making it easier for your whole being to sustain that frequency. Faith-filled speech has a cumulative effect. A single declaration may plant a seed, but repeated declarations, each spoken with conviction, create a field of energy so strong that it begins to override contradictory patterns. Just as a river carves a new channel over time, steady faith-filled speech carves new pathways in your consciousness, making abundance your default state. And because the outer world mirrors your inner state, the visible results begin to reflect this shift with increasing clarity and speed. The most remarkable aspect of faith-filled speech is that it not only attracts abundance, but also transforms your relationship with it. Instead of chasing wealth out of fear of scarcity, you speak it into being from a place of knowing that supply is endless and always available. This dissolves the grasping, anxious energy that repels what you want and replaces it with a calm, magnetic presence that draws it naturally. Faith-filled speech is both the signal you send out and the state you step into, and in that alignment, abundance has no choice but to respond. Filled speech attracts lack because it declares, with every word, that what you desire is uncertain, unlikely, or unavailable. Just as faith-filled speech aligns with abundance, doubt-filled speech aligns with scarcity. The law of creation responds without judgment, giving form to the vibration carried in your words, whether that vibration is one of trust or one of fear. When you speak from doubt, you plant seeds that cannot produce a rich harvest, for they are infused with the energy of absence rather than presence. The moment the tongue gives voice to uncertainty, it begins to instruct both the subconscious mind and the universal field to prepare for outcomes that match that uncertainty. Doubt does not always announce itself with obvious negativity. It often hides in casual phrases and harmless, sounding habits of speech. Words like, I hope, maybe, we'll see, or if I'm lucky, may seem innocent, but they carry within them the implication that the desired outcome is not guaranteed. These words send a diluted, hesitant signal into the creative process, and the result is equally diluted. Instead of a clear manifestation, the law returns partial results, delayed progress or outcomes that almost, but not quite, fulfill your desire. This is not punishment but precision. The outer world mirrors the indecision and lack of confidence that the inner world has expressed through speech. The pull of doubt is strong because it disguises itself as realism. People often believe they are being practical by speaking in ways that hedge against disappointment. Yet the act of hedging is itself an act of planting lack. When you speak as if you must protect yourself from the possibility of failure, You are quietly affirming that failure is probable. The law does not hear your words in the way the conscious mind does. It hears only the underlying tone, and it creates in accordance with that tone. To speak doubt is to set the stage for the very outcome you wish to avoid. Doubt-filled speech also narrows perception. When you believe something may not happen for you, you unconsciously filter out signs and opportunities that contradict that belief. Your mind seeks to confirm the words you have spoken, so it notices obstacles instead of openings. This creates a self-reinforcing loop. You speak doubt, you see reasons to doubt, you speak more doubt, and the cycle continues. In this way, lack is not merely attracted, it is sustained. The longer this loop remains unbroken, the more natural it feels to speak from doubt, and the more your life reflects the scarcity you have been affirming. One of the most damaging effects of doubt-filled speech is that it erodes the very faith needed to create change. Every time you speak your desire with hesitation, you weaken the muscle of belief. Over time, your mind begins to associate that desire with frustration and impossibility. You may even stop speaking of it altogether. Not because it has been fulfilled, but because you have trained yourself to expect disappointment. This quiet resignation is perhaps the most insidious form of lack, for it does not feel like doubt. It feels like acceptance of reality. Yet this so-called reality is nothing more than the harvest of seeds sown in the past through words of uncertainty. Doubt-filled speech is not only about what you say regarding your desires, it is also about how you speak of yourself. Words like, "I can't," "I'm not good at that," or "things never work out for me," anchor a sense of limitation in your identity. When you identify yourself as someone who struggles, fails, or misses opportunities, the law arranges circumstances to match that identity. Even if a door to abundance is placed directly before you, the vibration of self-doubt may prevent you from stepping through it. Or you may dismiss it as too good to be true. This attraction of lack through doubt-filled speech is not a mystical punishment. It is a direct consequence of the way creation responds to the energy behind words. The universe cannot deliver abundance to a mind that consistently declares uncertainty, because uncertainty and abundance occupy different frequencies. Just as you cannot tune a radio to one station and expect to hear another, you cannot speak lack and expect to receive plenty. The match between word, feeling, and outcome is exact. Doubt-filled speech often emerges in reaction to present circumstances. When the outer world shows lack, it feels natural to comment on that lack. People describe their shortages, their unpaid bills, their missed opportunities, not realizing that such speech is not a neutral description, but an active reinforcement of the very condition they want to change. The creative law does not differentiate between words spoken to vent frustration and words spoken as conscious declarations. Both are received as instructions. The more vividly you describe your limitations, the more deeply you ingrain them in both your mind and your reality. Even humor can carry the vibration of lack when it is rooted in doubt. Jokes about never having enough money or being cursed with bad luck may draw laughter, but they also plant seeds in the subconscious. Repetition, even in jest, reinforces identity. The subconscious mind does not interpret sarcasm, it accepts words as they are spoken, and the universal law responds accordingly. This is why casual, habitual speech is often more influential in shaping your reality than the rare moments of intentional affirmation. Because it is constant, unguarded, and deeply patterned. Breaking free from doubt-filled speech requires awareness and deliberate choice. You must listen to yourself with the same attentiveness you would give to someone else whose words directly impacted your future. Because that is precisely what is happening. Every statement you make is a blueprint. Every sentence either affirms the presence of abundance or the absence of it. To shift from attracting lack to attracting plenty, you must catch the small, subtle phrases that undermine your desires and replace them with language that aligns with the reality you want. When you remove doubt from your speech, you also begin to dismantle it in your thoughts. The two are intimately connected. Thoughts shape words, and words reinforce thoughts. As you choose words that express certainty, you train your mind to dwell on possibilities rather than limitations. Over time, this creates a new internal atmosphere, one in which abundance feels natural, believable, and inevitable. Once that atmosphere is established, the outer world begins to reflect it with increasing clarity. The attraction of lack through doubt-filled speech is not instantaneous. It builds over time. A single doubtful statement may not create a noticeable effect, but the accumulation of such statements, repeated day after day, becomes a powerful force. In the same way, replacing doubt with certainty in your speech creates a compounding effect in the opposite direction. Each word of faith becomes a deposit in the account of your abundance, and as these deposits grow, the evidence of prosperity becomes more visible. Ultimately, the difference between attracting lack and attracting abundance is not about the number of hours worked, the amount of effort exerted, or the level of external opportunity. It is about the steady, repeated vibration you send into the world through your words. Doubt-filled speech tells the universe to hold back its gifts, to deliver only fragments, to keep the flow narrow. Faith-filled speech tells the universe to open the gates wide and let the full measure of good pour through. The choice between these two modes of speech is made in every conversation, every remark, and every self-reflection, and the results are as consistent as the law that governs them. The universe is a great, unseen bank of infinite supply. It moves not by chance, but by law, an immutable, invisible law that bends and shapes itself according to the words we speak and the thoughts we hold fast in the silence of our hearts. Every man and woman walks daily in a world woven of their own affirmations, for the spoken word is a magic wand that commands substance to form. Money, wealth, and prosperity are never truly outside of us, but rather waiting patiently for the signal, the declaration, the word that calls them forth. You see, words are seeds. When spoken with conviction, they drop into the fertile soil of the unseen, and the universe, which never argues, which never resists, begins to rearrange itself to bring forth the harvest. The law is impersonal. It does not ask whether your word is careless or deliberate. It only knows to obey. This is why so many live in lack, while others live in abundance. The difference lies not in favor or fortune, but in the silent decree made by the tongue and the mind behind it. Money is spirit in visible form. It is energy, and energy responds instantly to the command of consciousness. The universe listens with perfect clarity, and what is spoken 3 times in power becomes etched upon the ether. Many imagine they must labor, struggle, or plead for prosperity, yet the truth is more radiant and more simple. To the one who understands the law, money comes as a faithful servant, summoned by words of certainty. There are 3 words that open the vault of heaven, 3 words that turn the key in the invisible lock of supply. These words are not complicated, nor are they reserved for a chosen few. They are a universal code, accessible to every soul who dares to speak them in faith. When spoken, they carry with them a vibration so clear, so commanding, that money rushes forth, as though it had been waiting just outside your door all along. Think of it a life where money comes with ease, where the bills are paid before they are due, where opportunities present themselves without strain, where the river of supply flows so steadily that worry becomes a forgotten shadow. This is not a dream, nor a far-off possibility, but a present reality waiting for your word. For the word is power, the word is law, and the law is obedience. The universe cannot withhold. It does not know how to delay. When the correct word is spoken, it hastens to perform, moving people's circumstances, and even the winds of chance into perfect alignment. The 3 words for money are like a master key. They unlock doors you did not even know existed. Words are seeds that command substance, and every word that falls from the lips of man is a decree to the invisible. The spoken word is never idle. It carries within it the power of creation, the pattern of the unseen, and the essence of the harvest to come. The world that surrounds you at this very moment is nothing more than a garden of words spoken long ago, some sound in faith, some sound in fear, yet all brought to life with the same obedience of the universal law. Each phrase, each thought turned into sound, is a living seed cast into the soil of the ether, and the ether, being infinitely fertile, brings forth without hesitation. This is why words must be guarded as treasures, for what you speak today becomes the fabric of tomorrow. And the universe is forever listening. Consider for a moment the way a seed works in the natural. When a gardener places a tiny seed into the earth, he does not see the tree or the flower immediately, yet he knows with certainty that the seed has begun its work. He does not dig it up in doubt, nor does he question the soil. He trusts the process because the law of growth is immutable. So it is with words. When you speak them with intention, they are dropped into the fertile unseen realm, and though no evidence may appear at first, the substance of life is already shifting, already aligning itself to bring forth the harvest of your decree. The careless gardener who plants weeds reaps weeds, and the careful gardener who plants flowers reaps flowers. In the same way, the careless soul who speaks of lack, debt, or failure plants seeds of poverty, while the wise one who speaks of plenty, opportunity, and increase plants seeds of wealth. The universe does not interpret words as casual chatter. It accepts every utterance as command. To say, "I never have enough," is to send forth a seed of scarcity, and that seed cannot help but sprout. To say, "Money comes easily to me," is to plant a seed of abundance, and the soil of the unseen law must respond. There is no middle ground, for the law cannot deny itself. Many wonder why they live in cycles of want, yet their very speech is a constant proclamation of lack. Their words are complaints, doubts, and fears repeated until the harvest becomes a field of limitation. Yet the moment the tongue changes its decree, the harvest must change as well. For words are the blueprint, and the universe has no choice but to obey. The creative force of words lies not in their sound alone, but in the conviction behind them. Words spoken without belief are like seeds cast on barren ground. But words spoken with faith sink deeply into the soil of the spirit and draw forth substance. When you declare with certainty that wealth is yours, when you affirm without wavering that supply flows freely to you, you ignite the power of the seed. You have in that moment commanded substance, and substance will hasten to form. Faith is the sunlight, conviction is the rain, and together they nourish the word until it manifests as visible reality. This is why words of gratitude carry such power. For gratitude is the conviction that the harvest already exists. And the universe delights in bringing more to one who speaks, as though already full. Every great teacher of truth has pointed to the power of the word. The ancients knew that speech was the wand of creation, and that by uttering sound charged with belief, one could call forth realities unseen. Even in daily life, one can observe how words shape the environment. Speak encouragement to a child and watch confidence bloom. Speak criticism and watch doubt take root. The same principle governs money and prosperity. Speak of it as a faithful friend, and it draws near. Speak of it as an elusive stranger, and it keeps its distance. Words magnetize, they are not mere air. They are currents of energy carrying instructions to the universe. When spoken often, they engrave themselves upon the subconscious mind, which in turn impresses the law, and the law manifests. This is why repetition matters. Just as a farmer does not plant one seed and expect a field, the wise soul does not speak abundance once and stop. He repeats it, waters it, affirms it until the soil is rich with planted intention. Each word is a new seed, and the more seeds of wealth and supply you scatter, the greater your harvest will be. But repetition must be deliberate, not mechanical. To speak words without belief is to toss seeds upon stone, yet to speak with emotion, with feeling, with a vision of the wealth already present, is to plant them deeply in fertile ground. The subconscious mind is the soil, and it accepts every word spoken in feeling as truth. It does not argue, it does not resist, it only obeys. This is why one must speak wisely. For careless words spoken in anger or fear can be as potent as words spoken in faith. When you understand that words are seeds that command substance, you become the master of your garden. No longer do you permit idle chatter of poverty to pass your lips. No longer do you allow words of failure to plant themselves in your field. You choose instead to speak of money as a friend who never fails, of opportunities as doors that swing wide, of abundance as the natural order of your life. Each time you speak in this way, you are sowing seeds of prosperity, and each seed must bring forth after its kind. The law is unerring. Just as surely as the apple seed brings forth the apple tree, words of wealth must bring forth wealth, and words of lack must bring forth lack. The soil does not discriminate. It only grows what is planted. Words are not only commands to the universe, they are also commands to the self. Each word spoken imprints itself upon the mind, shaping belief, and belief is the magnet of manifestation. To say, "I am rich in every way," is not only a message to the universe, but a message to your own subconscious that it must align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with richness. In this way, the seed not only summons substance from the outside, but reshapes the inner self to receive it. Many fail to hold wealth, because within they carry words of unworthiness, yet the moment they change their speech, they change their belief, and the universe responds accordingly. The universe obeys without question or delay, for it is a perfect mirror of thought and word. A boundless servant of the decree you make with your lips and the conviction you carry in your heart. There is no bargaining in this law, no hesitation, no committee of judgment that decides who shall be granted prosperity and who shall be denied. The law is exact, precise, and impartial. It answers as faithfully to the whisper of doubt as it does to the shout of faith. To say that the universe obeys without question is to understand that there is no filter of morality, no preference of circumstance, no waiting for worthiness. It does not pause to ask whether you are deserving. It only reflects back to you the pattern of what you have spoken, believed, and impressed upon it. This is why many are astonished to find their fears manifest as quickly as their desires. They do not understand that worry is a prayer in reverse, a constant repetition of negative affirmations that the universe must obey. To say, "I fear losing money," is as much a command as saying, "I welcome great wealth." The difference is in the direction of the energy, not the obedience of the law. The universe delays nothing, for delay would be resistance, and resistance does not exist in the law of creation. Once the decree has been spoken with feeling, the law moves instantly, invisibly rearranging circumstances, drawing people, and shifting opportunities to bring forth the reflection of the seed planted. Imagine a great ocean that reflects the slightest ripple. You cannot drop a stone into still water and demand that the ripple wait until you are ready. The ripple is instant, inevitable, and exact. So it is with the universe. The moment the word is spoken, the ripple begins, whether it be a ripple of abundance or of lack. Some will say, "But I have spoken prosperity and not yet seen it." Yet this is because they watch the water impatiently, doubting the ripple, digging up the seed. They do not realize the law is already at work, that unseen threads are weaving together the fabric of their decree. Impatience interrupts the process, not because the law resists, but because the doubter speaks new words of delay, and the universe obeys those just as faithfully. The obedience of the universe is perfect, and this perfection is both a great blessing and a solemn responsibility. It means that no word is wasted, no decree unheard, no seed barren. It means you are always creating, even when you believe yourself idle. The conversation overheard in complaint, the muttered fear about money, the sigh of, "I never have enough." All of these are taken as orders, for the universe never questions your intent. It is as though you stand before a loyal servant who awaits your every word. Speak clearly and deliberately, and the servant executes your command. Speak carelessly and thoughtlessly, and the servant executes that as well. The servant does not ask if you truly meant it. It only knows to obey. This obedience is not bound by time. The universe does not say, "Tomorrow I will obey." It does not push your decree into some distant corner of existence. The shift begins at once. though your human eyes may not yet see it. The unseen is already rearranged, the invisible already in motion. Delay is only the appearance of the visible world catching up with the invisible command. If you decree wealth, wealth is already yours in the unseen, and the law moves to translate it into matter. If you decree lack, lack is already yours in the unseen, and the law rushes to manifest it in form. The immediacy of the obedience is the evidence of its faithfulness. For the universe is incapable of ignoring a decree, once given. Those who understand this truth guard their words as treasures, for they know that every syllable carries weight. They do not idly speak of sickness, debt, or failure, for they know that such words set forces in motion as real as the sunrise. Instead, they speak only of health, wealth, and success, not because they are blind to present appearances, but because they know appearances are only the residue of past decrees. They choose to plant anew, to speak anew, to command anew, and by doing so they rewrite the fabric of their tomorrow. They live not as victims of circumstance, but as commanders of law, for they know that the law never argues, never delays, never questions. It only obeys. To test this truth, one has only to watch their own life carefully. Speak often of blessings, and soon blessings multiply. Speak often of troubles, and soon troubles appear in greater number. Speak as though money flows, and the flow begins. Speak as though money is always absent, and absence becomes the norm. This is not chance but certainty, for the law cannot break itself. The universe does not choose one decree over another, it gives each back in the same form it was spoken. If the words are charged with emotion, the obedience is even swifter, for feeling magnifies command. A casual word may plant a weak seed, but a word spoken with passion and repetition is a mighty decree, and the universe hastens to obey it with equal passion. The obedience of the universe is also impartial. It does not favor the rich over the poor, the educated over the unlearned, the strong over the weak. It favors only the word. Any soul who understands this law may rise from want to wealth, from obscurity to influence, simply by commanding with deliberate speech. History is filled with those who held little, but spoke as though they held much, and soon much was given. Likewise, many who possessed abundance fell into ruin, because their words were those of fear, doubt, and loss. The law has no bias, it reflects only the decree. Because the obedience is so absolute, there is no need for struggle. Many believe they must strive and fight for prosperity, but this is because they do not trust the immediacy of the law. They plant a seed, and then attempt to force its growth with anxious toil, forgetting that the law requires only the seed and the faith that it must grow. Struggle often plants new seeds of hardship, for the words spoken in struggle are words of lack. I must work harder, I must strive, I must push. These words are themselves commands, and the universe obeys, providing more struggle, more striving, more pushing. Yet the one who speaks calmly, my wealth flows with ease, my money comes freely, plants seeds of effortless supply, and the universe, which never questions, sets the channels of ease into motion. Every soul has within it the choice of decree. Each day, each moment, you stand before the obedient universe with the power to command. You may speak life or death, wealth or poverty, abundance or lack, and the law will obey you without hesitation. It does not delay, it does not pause, it does not ask. It mirrors, it reflects, it fulfills. To realize this is to awaken to the astonishing power of speech, to see that you are never waiting on the universe. It is always waiting on you. Money is energy responding to spoken word, and like all energy, it moves according to the vibration to which it is tuned. It is not solid or fixed as many believe, it is a living current, a river of substance that flows in answer to the signals you send forth with your voice, your affirmations, and your declarations. The universe is not holding money in vaults beyond your reach. It is not withholding from one and granting to another out of whim or favoritism. It is simply responding to the frequency of your speech. For every word carries a tone, a resonance, and that resonance attracts its like. When you say, I am prosperous, the energy of money aligns with you, for prosperity and money are of the same vibration. When you say, I cannot afford this. The energy of lack aligns with you, for lack is its own vibration as well. Money is not moral or immoral, kind or unkind. It is obedient energy that mirrors the words you cast into the field of life. Energy is never stagnant. It must move, flow, circulate. Money, being energy, seeks circulation, and the spoken word acts as the guide, the channel through which it flows. When you speak words of abundance, you create open channels, doors, and pathways through which money can enter and circulate in your life. When you speak words of limitation, you close those channels, you shut the doors, you dam the river, and the flow diverts elsewhere. Many wonder why money seems to flow to others with ease while bypassing them. Yet if they examined their speech, they would see words of doubt, fear, and complaint repeated daily. The universe does not make mistakes in distribution, it only follows the paths carved by your spoken decrees. Words of faith create wide highways for money to travel. Words of lack create dead ends where the flow cannot continue. Money as energy is highly sensitive to command, and the spoken word is the clearest command of all. Thought carries power, but when thought is spoken, it crystallizes into vibration that cannot be ignored. The air carries it, the ether records it, and the universe responds. This is why affirmations spoken aloud carry such creative force. To think, I am wealthy, is to plant a seed in silence, but to speak, I am wealthy, aloud is to cast that seed into the air, to give it sound and vibration that ripple outward into the field of energy. The vibration of the word joins the vibration of money itself, and like a magnet, the two attract one another. Energy seeks resonance, and the spoken word provides that resonance. Money responds to spoken word, because spoken word reveals belief. When one says, I never have enough, even in jest, the vibration of lack is clear, and money cannot flow toward it, for the vibration repels abundance. When one says, money comes easily and freely to me, the vibration of openness is clear, and money hastens to respond, for the energy of abundance is drawn to openness. The response may not always appear in the exact form expected, a check in the mail, a gift, an opportunity, an idea. But it will always come, for the law of energy must answer the command. Words charged with faith and repeated often become the standing vibration of your life, and money, as energy, gravitates to the vibration that matches it. Consider a tuning fork struck in a quiet room. Any object vibrating at the same frequency will begin to resonate, even without being touched. Spoken words are like tuning forks. When you speak of wealth, you strike the frequency of abundance, and money begins to resonate with that call. When you speak of debt, you strike the frequency of lack, and more debt begins to resonate and appear. The universe is a vast chamber of resonance, and your words are the strikes that call forth its echo. Money is simply one of the many echoes, but because it is tied to survival and comfort, its response feels immediate and profound. Those who constantly declare lack unknowingly strike the tuning fork of limitation again and again, and they are puzzled when the room vibrates only with scarcity. Yet the remedy is simple: strike a new tone, speak new words, and the resonance must change. The energy of money is neutral. It does not love one person and hate another. It is not attracted to toil or repelled by ease. It does not respond to pleading or begging, for begging carries the vibration of lack. It does not respond to resentment, for resentment carries the vibration of resistance. It responds to clarity, certainty, gratitude, and affirmation, for these carry the vibration of flow. When you say with conviction, I am aligned with wealth, the energy of money hears a clear signal and moves toward it. When you say with doubt, I hope I will have enough, the energy of money hears an unclear signal and cannot respond with certainty. Energy requires direction, and the spoken word provides it without ambiguity. Money also responds to spoken word because words shape the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is the great attractor of energy. The subconscious does not argue with your speech. If you say often enough, I can never save money, it accepts that as truth and directs energy to fulfill it. If you say often enough, I am a magnet for wealth, it accepts that as truth and directs energy to fulfill it. Money follows the subconscious command, and the subconscious is commanded by repeated speech. This is why affirmations are so powerful, not because the words themselves hold magic, but because the repetition of them reshapes the subconscious belief, and belief alters the flow of energy. Money is energy responding to belief expressed in word. Energy seeks order. Chaos in speech creates chaos in results. To speak abundance one day, and lack the next, is to send mixed signals, and the energy of money does not know which command to follow. The result is erratic flow, sudden gains followed by sudden losses, opportunities appearing and then vanishing. But to speak consistently, daily, unshakably of wealth and ease, is to provide a stable vibration, and energy aligns with stability. Just as a compass needle settles when undisturbed, money settles into the lives of those who speak with unwavering clarity. Inconsistency breeds uncertainty, and energy cannot obey uncertainty with precision. Consistency breeds certainty, and energy flows to certainty as naturally as water flows downhill, because money is energy responding to spoken word. There is no limit to how much can flow. Energy is infinite, and the universe holds no shortage. Limitation exists only in speech, in the declarations of scarcity repeated by lips that do not realize their power. Those who say, "There is never enough to go around," are commanding limitation, and limitation becomes their portion. Those who say, "There is always more than enough for me," are commanding abundance, and abundance becomes their portion. The universe does not measure the decree and ration energy. It does not say, "This one asked too much, I must withhold." It simply obeys, for energy has no concept of too much or too little. It flows where it is directed, and the word is the director. 3 words act as the master key to supply. For the universe, though infinite, awaits a signal, a phrase, a command that opens its invisible storehouse. Words are keys, and just as a key of the wrong shape will not turn the lock, so too do careless words fail to open the doors of abundance. Yet when the right words are spoken with clarity and conviction, the lock yields instantly, the door swings wide, and the flood of provision pours forth without resistance. These 3 words are not ordinary. They are charged with the vibration of certainty, stamped with the seal of divine law, and they carry within them the command that no force can deny. They are simple to speak, yet their simplicity hides their power, for the mind of man often seeks complication. Forgetting that the universe responds to clarity, when spoken, these words align thought, feeling, and energy into perfect harmony. The scattered desires of the mind are gathered into a single decree, and the law, being exact, rushes to fulfill it. Many speak endlessly of what they want, piling sentence upon sentence, explanation upon explanation, yet their many words scatter energy, diluting their command. The 3 words are precise. They focus power as a magnifying glass focuses light into fire. Energy flows where attention goes, and the 3 words direct attention with laser clarity. The universe does not require long speeches, it requires alignment, and alignment is best expressed in simplicity. The key does not need to be heavy or ornate to open the door, it only needs the right cut. So it is with these 3 words. Think of how a master key works. One key may open many doors, because it is aligned with the central pattern of the lock. These 3 words act the same way. They open the lock of money, but also the lock of health, of opportunity, of relationships, for the law is one, and the vibration that governs one area governs all. Yet when turned toward money, the effect is immediate and unmistakable. They act as a signal to the infinite substance, saying, "Here is the channel, here is the vessel, here is the command." The supply that seemed hidden, delayed, or withheld rushes into visibility, because the lock is no longer closed. What appeared as limitation was never a lack of supply, but a lack of the right key. The storehouse has always been full, waiting for the decree that opens it. The 3 words hold power not because of their letters, but because of the belief they awaken in the speaker. They bypass doubt and strike directly at the subconscious mind, and once the subconscious accepts them, the law cannot refuse. They plant themselves like seeds deep in the soil of the spirit, and from them grows a tree of manifestation. Each repetition waters the seed, strengthens the root, and builds the trunk until the fruit of visible money appears in the outer world. Other words may fall upon the surface and be swept away by winds of disbelief, but the three words sink deep, rooting themselves where no wind can touch them. They hold within them a vibration so pure, so certain, that the universe must answer without delay. The master key does not beg. It does not plead. It does not hope. It commands. These three words carry the energy of command, not of request. The universe is not a reluctant giver that must be persuaded. It is a faithful servant that must be instructed. When you speak these words with authority, the law recognizes them as final, as irrevocable, as absolute. To speak them with hesitation is to hold the key loosely in the lock, never turning it fully. But to speak them with certainty is to turn the key, hear the click, and feel the door swing open. Money flows because the decree has been made, and the law must obey. The words themselves are not new. They have echoed through time, spoken by those who understood the hidden laws of prosperity. Ancient teachers uttered them, mystics whispered them, and those who lived in wealth without toil carried them upon their tongues. They are not bound by culture or language, for their essence transcends translation. What matters is the vibration, the faith, the certainty with which they are spoken. They are the distillation of truth into sound, the essence of law made audible. To the unknowing they may seem too simple, too small, too ordinary to hold such power, yet that is the disguise of truth. The greatest keys are never elaborate, they are simple, direct, and absolute. When the three words are spoken, doors that seemed locked for years open suddenly. Debts dissolve, opportunities appear, ideas flow, gifts arrive, channels expand. It is not that the words create something from nothing, it is that the words align you with what already exists. Supply has always been present, surrounding you in infinite measure, but without the key, it remains unseen, untouched, unused. The words remove the veil. They shift the lens through which you perceive, and as perception changes, reality must change to match it. The energy of money, always abundant, always flowing, recognizes the vibration of the three words and rushes to meet it. To speak the three words once is to strike the key in the lock. To speak them daily, hourly, is to live with the door open, to keep the channels wide and clear. Repetition is not for the universe, it does not need reminding, but for the speaker, for the subconscious, for the mind that must be trained to live in certainty. Each repetition deepens the groove of belief, and belief is the true magnet of supply. Doubt is a second key that locks the door again, but faith is the hand that holds the master key steady. Speak the words until doubt falls silent, until the subconscious sings them as truth, until every cell of your being vibrates with their certainty. Then money flows as naturally as breath, as faithfully as the rising of the sun. The master key works because the universe is lawful, not because it is partial. It responds to vibration, and the three words are the vibration of abundance in its purest form. Just as a tuning fork will cause another of the same pitch to vibrate, so too do these words strike the pitch of wealth, and money, being energy, resonates with the call. You do not need to chase money when you hold the key. You only need to speak and let the law obey. The chase is the path of those who do not know the key, who rattle at locked doors with frustration. But the one who knows speaks with calm certainty, turns the key, and walks through as though the door were never locked at all. Faithful speech creates faithful wealth. For the universe does not respond to fleeting words spoken in passing, but to steady decrees repeated with conviction. A word spoken once with doubt is like a seed tossed upon stony ground, easily lost to wind or trampled underfoot. But a word spoken again and again, with belief and certainty, roots itself deeply in the soil of the subconscious and grows into a tree that cannot be shaken. Wealth is not built on chance, nor on sudden bursts of effort, but on the steady rhythm of faithful speech. Each affirmation, each declaration, is a stone laid upon another until the structure of abundance stands complete. The law does not reward hesitation, but it rushes to reward consistency. For consistency is proof of belief, and belief is the command to which the universe must respond. Faithful speech is not idle chatter. It is the language of authority. To speak faithfully is to speak as though the decree were already fulfilled. To utter words not from a place of need, but from a place of knowing. The one who says, "I am wealthy," while looking at lack speaks not in denial of what is seen, but in allegiance to what is unseen. For the unseen is the cause and the seen is only the effect. To remain faithful to that word, even when appearances contradicted, is to prove mastery. For appearances are shifting shadows, while the law that responds to speech is eternal and unchanging. Faithful wealth is born of such steadfastness, of refusing to allow outer circumstances to dictate inner speech. It is the tongue held firm in its declaration, the mind unwavering in its proclamation, the spirit unserving in its certainty. The power of faithful speech lies in its ability to reprogram the inner self. The subconscious is the great builder of experience, and it is molded not by stray thoughts, but by repeated words. Each faithful declaration carves a new pattern within, and the universe, reflecting that pattern, brings it into form. To say once, "I am rich," may stir the waters of possibility, but to say daily, hourly, unshakably, "I am rich," engraves wealth into the very fabric of being. The subconscious, once convinced, does not argue, does not resist, does not forget. It becomes a magnet drawing opportunities, people, and channels that align with the spoken decree. Faithful speech is the language by which the subconscious is taught. And once the lesson is learned, wealth must follow. Wealth that arises from faithful speech is faithful wealth, because it is rooted in law, not in chance. Money gained by accident can vanish as quickly as it came, for it was never anchored in certainty. But money drawn by faithful speech is anchored in the vibration of the speaker, woven into the fabric of their consciousness, and cannot be lost. Even if one channel closes, another opens, for the wealth does not depend on a single source, but on the state of being created by faithful speech. Just as a tree rooted deeply in the earth does not wither when one branch is cut, so faithful wealth does not diminish when one stream dries. For the roots remain strong, and the law must always provide another. Faithful speech requires discipline, for the tongue is often quick to wander. Doubt whispers, fear presses, appearances distract, and many speak according to what they see instead of what they decree. Yet discipline trains the tongue to remain steady, to speak abundance even in the face of bills, to speak supply even in the face of lack, to speak wealth even in the presence of delay. Each time doubt rises and the faithful word is spoken instead, the will is strengthened, the belief deepened, the vibration clarified. Discipline turns faithful speech from effort into habit, until the words of wealth flow as naturally as breath. In that moment, the law is not only obeying the word, but resonating with a state of being that cannot be shaken. Faithful speech also creates alignment with gratitude, and gratitude multiplies wealth. To say, "I am thankful for the money that flows to me," is to acknowledge abundance before it appears, and such acknowledgement is itself a magnet for more. Gratitude spoken faithfully is not mere politeness, but a declaration of trust, a signal to the universe that the supply is certain and already received. The more it is spoken, the more it becomes a natural vibration, and the more money flows in response. Gratitude is the perfume of faithful speech. It sweetens the word, enriches the decree, and hastens the harvest. A declaration of wealth coupled with gratitude is like seed planted in rich soil watered by rain. It must sprout, it must grow, it must bear fruit. Faithful speech creates faithful wealth, because it speaks not only to the universe, but also to others. When one speaks consistently of abundance, the world around them begins to see them as abundant. Opportunities are offered, doors are opened, invitations are extended, for people respond unconsciously to the vibration of words. To constantly speak of lack is to repel generosity, but to speak faithfully of wealth is to draw generosity, trust, and favor. The energy of speech influences not only the unseen but the seen, not only the spiritual but the material, not only the law of the universe but the hearts and minds of men. Wealth flows more easily to one who is perceived as wealthy, and faithful speech creates that perception, which in turn attracts the very substance it proclaims. The rhythm of faithful speech creates momentum. At first, the words may feel like effort, like climbing a hill, but with each repetition, the vibration grows stronger, the belief deeper, the alignment clearer. Eventually, the momentum carries itself, and the words no longer need force but flow naturally. At that point, the universe is no longer being called from afar, but is already present, already aligned, already delivering supply. The faithful word, spoken long enough, becomes the default thought, the automatic declaration, and the wealth that follows becomes equally automatic. Just as water flows downhill without effort once the channel is cut, so wealth flows without effort once the channel of faithful speech is carved deeply into the mind and spirit. Faithful wealth born of faithful speech is not only material but spiritual. It brings peace, for the speaker no longer fears loss, knowing the source is eternal. It brings confidence, for the speaker no longer doubts their worthiness, knowing the law cannot deny a faithful word. It brings generosity, for the speaker no longer clings in fear, knowing the supply is infinite. Wealth becomes more than numbers in an account, it becomes a state of being, a steady assurance, a living proof of the power of the spoken word. Faithful speech creates faithful wealth because it builds wealth that is steady, enduring, and expansive, wealth that grows with the speaker, wealth that serves not only the self but others as well.
You are not at the mercy of the world. You are not at the mercy of conditions, circumstances, or outer appearances. There is a higher LOA divine law that governs your supply. And money, yes, even money, is under its jurisdiction. The law of God is the law of abundance, and it knows no lack. When you align with these divine laws, money comes not by chance, not by effort, not by toil, but by divine right, by spiritual alignment, and by fearless faith. So many walk in fear, bound by the illusion that money is hard to earn, hard to keep, or only for the few. But I tell you, money responds to consciousness. It responds to the words you speak, the beliefs you hold, and the vibration you carry. Money is not your master, it is your servant. And the 7 divine laws are your key to commanding it, with peace, with power, and with praise. Every dollar you desire, every bill you wish to pay, every dream you want to fund it, is all possible under divine law. When you understand that your supply comes not from your job, not from people, not from effort, but from spirit itself, then the doors of prosperity begin to open wide, and what was once delayed is now divinely delivered. Speak the word, and watch the universe rearrange itself. Stand in truth, and see how quickly false beliefs vanish. Money is not meant to be chased, it is meant to be received. You are not meant to worry, you are meant to affirm. You are not meant to beg, you are meant to declare. For your words are wands, and your thoughts are magnets. And today, you will be reminded of the 7 divine laws that do not fail, that do not falter, and that do not forget. Let your heart be still. Let your spirit rise. Let your soul remember the truth. You are divinely guided, perfectly provided for, and spiritually supported. And the money you need is on its way right now, by divine right, under grace, in perfect ways. Shall we now begin? I align with divine supply. Money flows to me freely, under grace and in perfect ways. I remind myself of this truth, over and over, gently and calmly, until it becomes the song of my spirit. There is no lack in divine mind. There is no delay in divine law. When I align with the higher order, when I trust that I am not separated from my good, but connected to it always, then I allow what is mine to reach me, effortlessly, peacefully, and with perfect ease. There is no need to strive, to push, or to stress. My part is not to force me, part is to align. My part is to become still, to enter the silence, and to know that the law is always working. The supply is always present. Money is not outside of me. It is not hiding. It is not far away. It is close. It is near. It is already mine by divine design. I do not look to people. I do not look to conditions. I look to Source. I look to Spirit. I look to the one true provider of all that is good and all that is needed. When I speak the word, when I hold the truth, when I walk by faith and not by fear, then money must come. Not by force, not by fear, not by worry, but by alignment. It comes in perfect ways. It comes through doors I did not expect. It comes through people I did not anticipate. It comes through channels that surprise and delight. Because when I align with divine supply, I release the idea that I must figure it all out. I release the burden of planning every detail. I walk with peace. I walk with quiet confidence. I walk knowing the way is being prepared even now. I do not need to know how. I do not need to know when. I only need to know that it is done. It is already done in divine mind. It is already complete in the invisible. And as I stay aligned, as I stay faithful, as I stay open, the invisible becomes visible. The formless becomes form. The promise becomes provision. The idea becomes income. The dream becomes a deposit. I live under the law of grace. And under grace all things are possible. All things are easy. All things come without struggle. All things unfold in divine order. I remind myself again and again I am connected to the source of infinite wealth. I am never cut off. I am never lacking. I am never forgotten. The same force that guides the stars, that moves the ocean, that breathes life into every living thing, that same force is guiding my supply. That same force is arranging my finances. That same force is opening up ways for wealth to reach me. I do not need to force the door open. I do not need to knock with desperation. I only need to speak the word, hold the faith, and walk in peace. Because what is mine is already moving toward me. What is mine cannot be taken. What is mine cannot miss me. What is mine is magnetized by my faith. So, I stay in the vibration of peace. I stay in the energy of truth. I stay in the presence of divine knowing. I am one with the supply. I am one with the abundance. I am one with the current that carries all good things. And money, sweet and sacred, is part of that good. I no longer see it as separate from the spiritual. I no longer see it as outside of grace. It is a divine tool. It is an instrument of blessing. And when I align with divine supply, I allow that blessing to pour in freely, easily, and joyfully. I am safe. I am provided for. I am supported. I am surrounded. There is no fear in divine mind. There is no scarcity in divine order. I align. I affirm. I allow. Again and again, I say the word. I breathe the truth. I rest in the knowing. I align with divine supply. Money flows to me freely, under grace and in perfect ways. What I seek is seeking me. Every dollar I desire is already on its way by divine right. I breathe in this truth like soft morning light, letting it gently settle in the deepest corners of my being. I do not chase. I do not beg. I do not plead. I remember now I attract by alignment. I receive by grace, and I move by faith. That which my heart desires is already in motion, already coming, already near. I no longer ask when. I no longer ask how. I simply rest in the calm, knowing that the desire planted in my heart is not empty, but divine. If I seek abundance, it is because abundance has already begun seeking me. If I seek peace with money, it is because peace with money is already circling my life. What I seek is drawn to the vibration of my belief. What I seek responds to the language of my soul. And the soul speaks through feeling, not fear. Through knowing, not needing. So I soften the noise. I release the pressure. I speak to the silence where all things are born. Every dollar I desire is not outside of me, but already part of the unseen good that belongs to me by right of consciousness. I do not create from lack. I create from truth. I create from alignment. The more I affirm that what I seek is seeking me, the more I allow it to appear, not by force, not by striving, but by the rhythm of the divine. I was never meant to struggle for my supply. I was meant to claim it, speak it, and expect it. The river of money that belongs to me flows in perfect timing, in perfect channels, in perfect ways. I do not fear the waiting. I do not panic in the stillness. I know that the soil must be soft before the seed can bloom. I know that the soul must be prepared before the manifestation arrives. So I allow the process. I do not rush the law. I do not doubt the design. I stay still and faithful. Every time I feel the desire for more, I remind myself that the desire is a signal, a message, a spiritual telegram telling me that my supply is already forming in the invisible. I do not doubt the message. I do not silence the desire. I embrace it, honor it, and align with it. The more I feel it, the more I know it is real. The more I affirm it, the more I call it into form. Money is not running from me. It is not hiding from me. It is not withholding itself from me. Money is looking for the one who believes. Money is looking for the one who expects. Money is looking for the one who says, I am ready. I am willing. I am open. And I am. I am ready for the good that belongs to me. I am willing to let go of fear. I am open to the ways that wealth may come, ways I have seen and ways I have never imagined. I no longer chase after money with worry. I no longer look around in comparison. I look within. I look to the source. I look to the truth. That which I seek is already mine. That which I desire is already traveling toward me. That which I long for is already drawn by the magnet of my faith. I do not have to convince. I do not have to beguile, only have to align, to affirm, and to allow. There is a rhythm to receiving. There is a divine dance of giving and welcoming. I step into that dance with grace. I let my mind rest and my soul rise. I let my words speak faith and not fear. I let my heart stay open to miracles and movement. Because what I seek is not far. What I seek is not difficult. What I seek is not delayed. It is right here, coming closer, flowing faster, finding me now. And so I say again, calmly, quietly, certainly what I seek is seeking me. Every dollar I desire is already on its way by divine right. I do not chase. I attract money comes to me through unexpected doors and channels. I repeat this slowly, softly, until the words begin to hum through every cell of my body. I do not chase. I attract. I let go of the exhausting need to pursue. I release the belief that I must run after money with fear in my steps and desperation in my hands. I remember that divine law does not require panic. Divine law responds to peace, to presence, to trust. I attract with calm certainty. I attract with quiet power. I become the magnet, and money becomes the metal. I do not chase the metal. I become the magnet. I do not need to run or scramble or stress, because what is mine cannot be lost. What is mine cannot be missed. What is mine finds me when I stand still in the knowing, when I radiate belief, when I walk in the frequency of trust. Money comes to me when I release the grip. It arrives when I stop looking for it with fear and begin expecting it with peace. The energy of attraction is soft but strong. It does not shout. It does not demand. It simply draws all that belongs to it through the invisible laws that never fail. I no longer feel rushed. I no longer feel behind. I no longer feel that I must hustle for my worth. I was never meant to chase what was already mine. I was meant to prepare space. I was meant to hold the vibration. I was meant to stand with open arms, knowing that money has always known the way to me. Money comes to me through unexpected doors and channels. Not only the obvious ways, not only the common paths, but through secret openings arranged by spirit. It shows up where I never looked. It appears where I never planned. And I welcome it. I bless it. I receive it with joy. I do not limit the how. I do not block the flow. I do not say it must come this way. I simply affirm it is coming. And it does. I open my heart to unexpected favor. I open my life to sudden opportunities. I open my spirit to divine surprises. I am ready to receive from places I never imagined, people I never expected, sources I never considered. I trust the intelligence of the universe. I trust the wisdom of the law. I trust that money knows how to find the one who is ready without resistance, without fear, without doubt. And I am ready. I am open. I am aligned. When I stop chasing, I start receiving. When I stop striving, I start attracting. I do not need to convince the universe to bless me. The blessing is already mine. I only need to allow it in. I only need to be in harmony with it. I only need to feel it, believe it, speak it, and live as if it were already so. Because it is. In the divine it is already done. In the invisible it is already moving. In the unseen it is already unfolding. And so I live in the vibration of arrival. I live in the atmosphere of abundance. I live in the rhythm of trust. I do not watch the clock. I do not question the timing. I stay in the stillness where power lives. I stay in the peace where miracles grow. I stay in the faith where everything begins. I am no longer available for the struggle story. I am no longer willing to live in chase mode. I am aligned with divine intelligence. I am aligned with grace. I am aligned with ease. Money flows to me because I radiate the belief that it already has. Money comes to me because I stand still and let it. I receive not by pushing, but by allowing. I receive not by fear, but by faith. I do not chase. I attract. And all that I desire begins to rise, begins to move, begins to appear. My words are powerful. I speak abundance, and abundance appears. I repeat this softly, gently, as if I were watering the garden of my soul. I speak abundance. I breathe abundance. I affirm abundance. And I watch, with calm assurance, as it appears before Menno through struggle, not through force, but through the mighty law of the spoken word. My words do not fall to the ground. My words do not vanish in silence. My words are seeds, and the soil of the universe is always listening. Every time I speak in faith, the universe answers. Every time I declare my good, the invisible begins to form the visible. I no longer speak from fear, for I have seen what fear-filled words can create. I no longer speak from lack, for I understand that lack multiplies when I give it voice. Now, I speak only what I desire. I speak what I wish to see. I speak what I know is already mine by divine right. For my words are not idle. My words are not empty. My words carry power, the power of life, the power of wealth, the power of creation. When I say, I am wealthy, the universe begins to agree. When I say, I am provided for, the doors begin to open. When I say, I am divinely guided in all financial matters, the answers begin to arrive. I do not need to explain. I do not need to beg. I only need to speak from truth. I speak from spiritual law, not human logic. I speak from divine knowing, not outer appearances. I speak abundance, even when I cannot yet see it, because I know that the word goes before the manifestation. I bless my words. I guard them gently. I do not throw them away in complaint. I do not waste them in fear. I use them with purpose. I use them with reverence. I use them to call in my good. I speak money into my life. I speak wealth into my hands. I speak prosperity into every corner of my experience. I do not wonder if the words are working. I know they are. I trust the law. I trust the seed. I trust the timing. There is no need to monitor the soil. There is no need to dig up the roots. I plant the words. and I let the law do the rest. I do not speak against what I've already spoken. I do not cancel the blessing with doubt. I remain steady. I remain faithful. I remain in agreement with my own declarations, because what I speak with conviction becomes what I live with ease. What I affirm with joy becomes what I experience with peace. I do not try to make things happen. I speak them into being. I do not force change. I declare it. The universe is a mirror, always reflecting back the vibration of my voice. I speak with clarity. I speak with love. I speak with power. Even in silence, my inner words matter. Even in stillness, my energy speaks. So I watch the whispers of my mind and I fill them with truth. I replace the hidden murmurs of fear with quiet affirmations of faith. I say, there is always more money coming. I say, I am always supported. I say, I live in the overflow. And when I speak it, I believe it. And when I believe it, I receive it. Because my words do not return void. They go out, and they create. They build. They move energy. They command supply. I no longer speak casually. I speak consciously. I no longer speak from emotion. I speak from truth. And the truth eyes abundance is mine. The truth is money hears me. The truth is I speak, and the world responds. I speak to the invisible, and it shapes the visible. I speak to the silence, and it echoes with my good. I speak not to complain, but to create. I speak not to describe lack, but to command increase. I speak not to report the facts, but to write a new reality, and every time I do, the abundance begins to appear. I release all fear around money. God is my source, and I am forever provided for. I whisper these words softly into the stillness of my being, allowing them to sink into the soil of my soul. I release fear. I release worry. I release the tight grip I once held around my finances. There is no fear in divine mind. There is no fear in the presence of truth. Where God is, fear dissolves, and I remember now God is always here. God is always with me, and God is the unfailing source of all my supply. I no longer see money as something I must earn through struggle. I no longer see money as a prize to chase or a reward for worry. I no longer tie my provision to the limits of human effort or the instability of the world. I anchor my faith in something higher. I anchor my security in something eternal. I anchor my peace in the knowing that God is my source. Not a job, not a person, not the economy. God alone, steady and faithful, unfailing and eternal. Every time I feel fear rise, I pause. I breathe. I remember. I do not need to figure it all out. I do not need to calculate the path. I do not need to force a solution. I only need to align with truth, and the truth is I am already provided for. The truth is me needs are known before I speak them. The truth is the supply is already prepared, and so I stop wrestling with fear. I stop feeding the worry. I stop imagining lack. I return to the quiet center of faith where provision flows without resistance. I have lived long enough with the heavy energy of lack. I have lived long enough in the echo of not enough. But now I choose a new echo. I choose the vibration of more than enough. I choose the frequency of sufficiency. I choose to believe that everything I need is here now, or on its way. I release the old belief that says, I must stress in order to survive. I release the inherited fear that says, money is hard to get and easy to lose. I break the pattern. I interrupt the worry. I rewrite the story. I let peace take root. God is my source. The fountain never runs dry. The channel never closes. The river never stops flowing. Even if one door closes, another opens. Because the source is not the door, the source is spirit. And spirit is not limited. Spirit is not lacking. Spirit is not afraid. So why should I be? Why should I doubt when the law is unchanging? Why should I panic when the supply is infinite? Why should I fear when the truth is that I am always supported? I remind myself gently, again and again, that fear is not a requirement. Fear is not necessary. Fear is not truth. Fear is the absence of remembering. And when I remember who I am, when I remember whose I am, fear fades. When I return to the quiet knowing that I am safe, fear weakens. When I speak with calm authority, fear surrenders. I say, I am divinely cared for. I say, I am supplied in every moment. I say, I walk in the abundance of spiritual law. And every time I say it, the fear melts away just a little more. I am not here to worry, I am here to trust. I am not here to calculate every outcome, I am here to walk in faith. I am not here to suffer in silence, I am here to speak the word of abundance and live by it. I now declare the end of fear around money. I now declare the beginning of peace. I now affirm that God is my source, and therefore I cannot be without. I now rest in the truth that all is well, all is unfolding, and all is provided. I no longer ask from fear, I expect from faith. I no longer beg, I declare. I no longer shrink, I expand. I walk through life as one who knows they are backed by the full force of divine supply. I am forever provided for. I am forever supported. I am forever at peace. I trust divine timing money arrives exactly when I need it. Never too late, never too early. I breathe in the truth of this softly, slowly, and let it wrap around every restless thought, every anxious whisper, every fearful clock ticking inside me. I let go of the panic that says I am behind. I release the urgency that tells me I must rush. I no longer count the days in dread. I no longer look at time as my enemy. Time is not against me. Time is not the master. Time is the servant of divine law, and divine law is always on time. I trust the rhythm of the unseen. I trust that things are moving even when I cannot see them. I trust that money knows when to arrive. I trust that the invisible has a plan that is wiser than mine. I let go of the illusion of delay. There are no delays in the spirit. There is only perfect sequence, perfect preparation, perfect unfolding. And so I rest. I rest in the knowing that what I need, when I need it, will arrive always, without fail. I have known the discomfort of waiting. I have felt the tightness of watching the calendar, the pressure of looking at the bills, but I have also seen what happens when I surrender. I have seen what happens when I stop pushing and start trusting. Miracles come, unexpected channels open. What once seemed impossible appears with ease. Because when I trust divine timing, I stop interfering with the order. I stop planting seeds and digging them up. I stop trying to rush the bloom. I allow the flower to open in its own time, in its own beauty, in its own glory. I do not need to rush the universe. The universe is not late. The law is not broken. I trust that there is a timing for everything, both seen and unseen. I trust that there are arrangements being made on my behalf, conversations I cannot hear, decisions I do not yet know of, movements happening in silence that are aligning my good with perfect precision. I trust that even when it looks like nothing is happening, everything is happening, and so I stay steady. I stay anchored. I stay rooted in the knowing that my provision is already promised, and promises in spirit are never broken. I no longer compare my timing to another's. I no longer feel the need to rush simply because someone else has arrived. My journey is divine, my timing is divine. My story is unfolding in harmony with something greater than my mind can understand. And I trust it. I honor it. I bless it. I no longer say, it's too late. I say, it's right on time. I no longer say, it should have happened by now. I say, it will happen exactly when it should. And these words bring me peace. These words calm the storm. These words create the space for money to move without resistance. I live in a world where the law works. I live in a life where nothing is random. I live in a body where divine wisdom beats my heart, and if my breath is timed with perfection, so too is my money. I no longer beg for it to come faster. I no longer doubt because I cannot see the hour. I speak the word. I hold the faith. I open my hands and I say, I am ready whenever it is time. And in that readiness, the flow begins. Money is not late. It is not early. It is divine. It moves with divine instruction. It shows up when the way is made clear. It appears when I am prepared to receive it, and I am always being prepared. Every moment, every experience, every delay I once feared was simply making space, strengthening belief, shaping me for more. And now, I trust it. I trust all of it. The quiet seasons, the waiting rooms, the in-between. They are not wasted, they are sacred. They are where faith is built, where trust is formed, where miracles begin. I rest in the wisdom that the law has never failed me. I breathe in the assurance that spirit has perfect timing. I remind myself again and again money arrives exactly when I need it. Not before to overwhelm, not after to distress, but right on time, with right purpose, through right channels. I live by this truth. I rest in this rhythm. I trust divine timing. I walk in unwavering faith. Riches, opportunities, and favor follow me effortlessly. I let this truth settle into my breath, into my bones, into the very rhythm of my being. I walk not with fear, not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with faith that does not bend, that does not waver, that does not ask how or when. I walk in faith because faith is the substance of the unseen. Faith is the bridge between my belief and my reality. Faith is the divine yes that opens all doors. When I walk in unwavering faith, I do not chase riches, they are already behind me, following me, moving toward me without force. When I walk in unwavering faith, I do not knock in desperation, opportunities rise to meet me. I do not beg for favor flows toward the one who believes. I live not in pursuit, but in presence. I do not ask, will it happen? I say, it is already done. I no longer cling to signs, for I have the signal of truth within me. I no longer search the outside world, for I am guided from the inside. My walk is steady, my step is sure, my spirit is calm. Even when I cannot see the outcome, I do not stumble. Even when the way is quiet, I do not retreat. I walk with the certainty of one who knows that they are supported by something greater, something eternal, something perfect. I am not led by fear. I am led by the divine current that whispers yes, even when the world says wait. I follow that yes. I follow that whisper. I walk in the direction of my knowing. I do not look to appearances to decide what is possible. I do not measure my future by my past. I do not weigh my belief against statistics or circumstances. I walk by faith, not by sight. I walk by trust, not by trend. I walk by truth, not by temporary noise. The world may speak in limitation, but I answer with expansion. The world may echo scarcity, but I repeat abundance. The world may try to shake my certainty, but I remain still in knowing. I have learned that riches are not earned through fear, but through alignment. I have seen that opportunities do not arrive through panic, but through peace. I have witnessed favor come not by force, but by flow. And so I stay in flow. I stay in alignment. I stay in the vibration of ease. I do not compete. I do not compare. I walk in faith, and that is enough. I walk in faith, and everything I need is drawn to men not with effort, but with grace. Even when things seem uncertain, I do not let go of my knowing. Even when the path is unclear, I do not stop walking. Faith is not loud, it is quiet. Faith is not anxious, it is still. Faith is not shaky, it is solid. And I choose it again and again, in every step, in every breath, in every moment. I do not wait until things appear to believe. I believe so that things may appear. I do not ask for proof, I become the proof. I walk knowing that unseen forces are already moving on my behalf. I walk knowing that divine orchestration is already setting the stage. I walk knowing that every step I take in faith is a step toward my wealth, my opportunity, my blessing. And with each step, something opens. With each step, something shifts. With each step, something aligns. I do not need to see the whole path to trust the next step. I only need to know that I am guided. I only need to know that I am protected. I only need to know that I'm supported. I walk in unwavering faith, and so I do not worry. I walk in unwavering faith, and so I do not fear. I walk in unwavering faith, and so I do not lack. Riches find their way to me. Opportunities reveal themselves with divine timing. Favor surrounds me like light, like wind, like breath. And I keep walking, step by step, moment by moment, guided by the stillness within. I do not look back. I do not hesitate. I walk with grace. I walk with peace. I walk with faith that cannot be shaken. And now, I rest in the silence of knowing. I rest in the still power that speaks without words and moves without sound. I rest in the center of divine mind where all things are possible and nothing is withheld. I have aligned with the laws that govern wealth. I have spoken truth. I have released fear. I have walked in faith. And now, I simply receive. I do not reach for my good, it reaches for me. I do not force open the way opens because I have believed. I do not beg the universe, I declare my place in it. I live in the flow of grace, where money is no longer a struggle, but a servant of truth. I live in the rhythm of spiritual law, where what I seek is always seeking me. I live in the consciousness of abundance, where every dollar, every opportunity, every blessing comes not by accident, but by alignment. I am in harmony with the divine. I am in step with supply. I am in love with life itself. My wealth is not just measured in money, but in peace, in trust, in knowing. I no longer chase, I attract. I no longer fear, I affirm. I no longer wait, I receive. All is well, all is done, all is mine, by divine right, under grace, in perfect and beautiful ways.
Beloved, understand this truth: nothing can be withheld from the soul who stands in faith, who speaks the word of power, and who aligns with divine law. The world may show you lack. It may whisper that doors are closed, that opportunities are gone, that supply has dried up. But those whispers are lies of limitation. For in truth, you live in an abundant universe where all things are already prepared for you. What belongs to you by divine right cannot be taken away, cannot be delayed, and cannot be denied. The law of supply is as certain as the rising sun and as sure as the flowing river. It does not falter, it does not forget, it does not fail. Only false belief can stand between you and your abundance, and once you remove that shadow, the light pours in and every good thing rushes to you. I tell you, beloved, the spoken word is your key. When you declare truth, when you speak abundance, the universe rearranges itself in your favor. The invisible becomes visible, the unseen manifests before your eyes, and the supply that was waiting finds its way to your hands. Beloved, listen carefully, for what I share with you is not mere philosophy but divine law. Lack is not real. It is only a shadow, a false picture painted by fear and doubt. In the great storehouse of spirit, there is no such thing as shortage, no such thing as delay. All things already exist in the invisible, and they wait for the command of your word to bring them forth. You may say, "But I have prayed, I have asked, yet nothing has appeared." And I tell you, it is not asking that opens the floodgates of supply, but affirming the truth with certainty. When you beg, you affirm that you do not have. When you affirm with authority, you declare that it is already yours. The universe always responds to the vibration of your belief. See yourself as a child standing before a banquet. Everything on the table is yours by inheritance. Yet if you sit in the corner, whispering that you are not worthy, you will never taste the feast. But the moment you rise, stretch forth your hand, and take what is yours with confidence, the universe applauds and gives you even more. Do not be deceived by appearances. The outer world is but a reflection of inner belief. If your mind rehearses fear, lack will show itself. If your tongue speaks doubt, doors will seem closed. But if you speak the word of abundance, the law must obey. Like a seed planted in fertile soil, your spoken truth will grow, it will multiply, and it will bear fruit in your life. Remember this: the law of supply is impartial. It does not favor one and withhold from another. It responds to faith as surely as gravity responds to the stone. Faith is the magnet, the force that pulls unseen riches into form, and faith is strengthened by your words. Each time you declare your abundance, you pull more of it into the visible. Each time you affirm divine right, you dissolve the clouds of delay. There is no power in resistance, no gain in striving. Your role is not to push against the tide, but to align with the current of divine order. Flow with the law, and supply will flow with you. Doors will open without effort. Resources will come without strain. For what is yours cannot be lost, and what is destined for you cannot be withheld. This is why I say, beloved, guard your words. Speak only those things you desire to see. Release words of lack, for they create more lack. Release words of fear, for they build walls around your good. Instead, let your tongue be the tool of creation. Let your voice ring with truth. Speak as if the abundance you seek has already arrived, and soon it will stand before you in flesh and form. The universe is listening. It is waiting for your command. And when your words align with divine law, nothing can stop the flow of supply. Beloved, now comes the moment when we do not only hear truth but speak it. For the spoken word is power, and power unused is power wasted. You are about to call forth your supply, to summon it from the invisible into the visible. Say these words with me, and let them sink into the marrow of your soul. Nothing can be withheld from me. Say it once, and feel the strength of it. Say it again, and let every cell of your body believe it. Say it a third time, and know that heaven itself moves to honor your decree. The world cannot withhold my good. People cannot withhold my good. Time cannot withhold my good. What is mine by divine right must appear, must flow, must manifest. Like a river breaking through a dam, my supply cannot be stopped. Divine supply flows to me now, easily and in perfect order. Say it slowly. Let each word roll like thunder in your spirit. Say it again with joy rising in your heart. Say it a third time. And see in your mind the doors opening, the channels widening, the abundance pouring in. No struggle, no delay, no resistance. It comes as naturally as breath, as certain as sunrise. I do not chase, I do not beg, I do not force. I simply align, and the supply finds me. What is mine by divine right cannot be delayed or denied. Speak it once with firmness. Speak it again with boldness. Speak it a third time with complete certainty. The world may try to shut a door, but divine law opens 10 more. People may say no, but the universe has already said yes. Delay is dissolved, denial is erased, and my blessings come to me without obstruction. I am one with the infinite source, and it provides without fail. Say it once with reverence. Say it again with faith. Say it a third time with thanksgiving. There is no fear of lack when I am connected to the limitless. There is no fear of need when I am rooted in the eternal. Just as the sun never forgets to shine, the source never forgets to provide. Every channel is open, and my good rushes to meet me. Say it once, and see the channels opening. Say it again, and picture rivers of supply flowing toward you. Say it a third time, and feel the arrival of your good in this very moment. The north, the south, the east, the west, every direction brings me abundance. Work, business, relationships, opportunities. Every avenue delivers my good. Supply is not slow, it rushes, it hurries. It hastens to appear in my life now. The law of abundance is working for me, here and now. Say it with conviction once. Say it with greater power the second time. Say it with unstoppable faith the third time. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday. Here and now. In this very hour, unseen forces move. In this very moment, supply shifts into form. The law does not sleep, and it does not fail. It works on my behalf this instant. My words create my wealth, and I speak only increase. Say it once, and release it into the atmosphere. Say it again, and feel it planting in your subconscious. Say it a third time, and see the harvest it brings. Every sentence is a seed, every word a decree. I no longer speak of lack, I no longer declare limitation. My lips overflow with truth, and my truth manifests prosperity. My tongue is not an enemy, it is the key that unlocks the treasury of heaven. I am grateful now, and gratitude multiplies my supply. Say it once with a thankful heart. Say it again, with joy bubbling inside you. Say it a third time, with hands lifted in praise. For what I bless increases, and what I complain about diminishes. Gratitude is the magnet of heaven, the doorway through which more arrives. I bless every dollar, every opportunity, every open door, and they multiply beyond measure. My abundance is unlimited, unstoppable, and ever increasing. Say it once, feel its certainty. Say it again, feel its momentum. Say it a third time, feel its overflow. The world cannot limit me, circumstances cannot bind me, time cannot restrict me. My abundance grows daily, multiplies hourly, expands continually. It does not run dry, it does not diminish, it does not end. It only grows. Nothing can be withheld from me, for I am aligned with divine law. Say it slowly once. Say it again, firmly. Say it a third time, victoriously. The law cannot lie, and the law cannot fail. Just as gravity holds the stars in their place, divine law holds my good in my hands. No power of man, no condition of earth, no delay of time can stop it. What is mine flows to me freely, abundantly, and eternally. Beloved, you have spoken the words of truth, and the law has heard you. The universe does not delay, the spirit does not hesitate. Even now, The supply you have claimed is moving toward you. Doors are opening, channels are widening, and opportunities are finding their way to your life. Nothing can be withheld from you, for divine law has sealed your good with eternal certainty. What you have affirmed is not a wish, it is not a dream, it is a decree. And a decree spoken in faith is a command that heaven itself rushes to fulfill. Remember always, lack is only an appearance. Do not be moved by appearances. Be moved by truth. The outer may try to whisper otherwise, but the inner law declares your abundance as sure and unstoppable. Hold fast to what you have spoken, for it is already established in the invisible, and soon shall appear in the visible. Walk now in confidence, for you are not chasing supply. Supply is chasing you. You are not forcing doors. Doors are swinging wide before you. You are not begging for scraps. You are seated at the banquet of the universe, and the feast is yours without limit. Beloved, let these words be the rhythm of your life. Let your tongue never betray you with lack, but always affirm abundance. Let your mind not sink into fear, but always rise in faith. For as long as you are aligned with divine law, nothing can be withheld from you. Go forth knowing this truth: your supply flows freely, your abundance is secure, and your prosperity is established. And it is done.